Yeah.
No rock star. Pussy.
Pussy.
Exactly. Bussy and coffee, and that's it.
Bussy and Starbucks. That's
Yeah.
my day-to-day. Yep. Little Bussy.
I see you.
Yeah.
Bussy badass.
How y'all feeling about Kanye?
Oh man, this is crazy because it like literally every time I open up my Instagram, I see something new now. So like I literally just seen Aaron Donald and Jalen. They fucking Donda Sports. They denounced that. They said they're done with Donda Sports.
Who's that? Basketball players?
Basketball player and football player.
Oh, okay.
But that happens. Then I see the Adidas thing. I even seen Foot Locker make a fucking statement saying that they won't carry Yeezys anymore.
Really? Wow,
Bro,
I didn't see that.
this
That's
shit
crazy.
It's wild. Like,
Netflix was even talking about, they haven't done it yet, but removing the genius.
and I was
But
wondering
they
if they're
announced
gonna
that
do
they're
that.
not going to.
As
But-
of now.
But there's a different Kanye documentary that's been being worked on, and that, I guess, has been shelved.
Ceased
They're not.
production.
So that's the interesting thing about it, is that if he were to have any chance of like getting back any percentage of what he's lost, he's basically going to have to go on an apology tour and start living his life in a completely different way. And he doesn't show any signs of doing that. So you got to think that now Kanye's journey, his struggle, because he's clearly still trying to be what he was trying to be his whole life, where he's trying to be this crazy billionaire, he's trying to be this shoe entrepreneur, this fashion god, this music god, whatever. That whole path is now infinitely more difficult for him. Like, he's going to have serious roadblocks in terms of manufacturing and products and getting it into retail, and then in terms of music, it's
Even
what
shows.
labels he's going to be able to work with. I mean, I feel like at the end of the day, there's still going to be people that are going to want to fuck with him just because he is so
yeah.
big. But it's like he's not going to be working with the biggest labels in the world. It's probably going to it's going to be fascinating to see who's down to go along with this ride.
And I hate to see everything that's unfolding because, you know, I'm a big Kanye fan. You know, he's I mean, at the end of the day, he's our brother. You feel me? You know, but I just wish that like he gets some real help and like not letting this shit spiral out of control. And I will be the first one, you know what I'm saying, if he to accept him back if he, you know what I'm saying, if he sees the error in what he's doing right now, because you know he's letting a lot of people down with all the shit that's going on. And I'm like, damn, looking at it as a fan, it just sucks to see this shit, because it's like, my nigga, like Kanye is my favorite rapper. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So to see my favorite rapper just putting salt on this and just keep doing it, and it's like, damn, ain't nobody around him that's here to tell him like, bro, enough is enough.
But that's the thing, is that you know there's tons of people telling him that this is not a good idea, and it's not getting through to him because he's got enough people around him, like the Candace Owenses of the world, etc., who are happy to, you know, do whatever. And, you know, I had actually like my biggest tweet like ever, I think, this, or not ever, but like in a long fucking time. This currently has 5 million impressions on Twitter, which I was pretty surprised
Damn, it
by.
beat took the carts to Russia.
Yeah, it beat carts to Russia.
What a month.
I don't even think of myself like a Twitter user like this. Like, I read Twitter all the time. I tweet a little bit, mostly for promotion. I'm not really out here because you notice that the thing that you do if you want to get big on Twitter is you go tribal. You say something controversial that aligns yourself with one side or the other. You say something super pro-trans, or you say something super anti-trans. Both of those work. What totally doesn't work is you saying something moderate and reasonable and nuanced in the middle, you know? And so I try not to play that game too much. I try to like only tweet stuff politically when I like really give a fuck enough to like actually feel like I have something worth saying or whatever. And so this morning I tweeted this because I was just kind of taking a shit in the morning. It's what does it say? 8:30 a.m. So this is like actually immediately before I start my workout. So I was definitely taking a shit.
A twit and shit.
Yeah, twit and shit. And I wrote, Kanye spent 20 years building one of the biggest empires in music and fashion and threw it all away because he wanted to repeat Candace Owens' talking points on TV.
And that's the saddest thing of all this to me is you can't, when you look at Kanye West and his musical contributions, forget everything else. Just look at his musical contributions. He is
immaculate.
You have to compare him to Quincy Jones, to Phil Spector, to
100
Sir George Martin,
100%.
to Prince. You can't compare him to any other hip hop artist. People were talking about a verses with Pharrell and Kanye, and I'm the biggest Pharrell fan ever, but that's a fucking laughable conversation. There's no verses between Kanye and anybody else. As a producer, as an artist, his catalog is the greatest, not just in hip hop, but in modern music of the past 2.5 decades. Everything else pales in comparison.
Just him in the culture in general is what he's done and the strides that he's, you know what I'm saying, came to be now is like, it's amazing. But that's what he said, just to see it all go down, like it seems like it's over fucking night. And I will say this though, I wish, and I see a lot of people saying that, I wish they had this type of energy for people that are anti-black and they say racist things and anti-racism for all. You know what I'm saying?
But I feel like there is a lot of that.
No, but hold on.
You can say shit about black people and you ain't about to lose. You're not about.
What about what's the dude Donald Sterling or whatever? Didn't he lose this whole basketball team because he said the N-word?
Yes.
Yeah, but it's not.
Okay.
It's not.
But I feel like that's kind of like the status quo right now. It's like
Dog.
if you're a famous person and you're caught saying anything racist, you're damn near gonna lose all your opportunities the same way Kanye did.
Not to this degree though.
But this is also different though, because it's one thing to be like a public figure who's caught saying the N-word one time on camera. It's another thing to go on camera and publicly commit yourself to this anti-Jewish ideology. And I'm not saying that it's cool for white people to say the N-word in private or whatever, but I do think that this is perceived very differently than even something like that fucking Donald Sterling thing.
Okay, and that's a really solid point. But beyond that, Eminem had a tape where he said the N-word with a hard R several times.
20 years ago.
Correct. Talking about black women in a very derogatory manner, as disrespectful as possible, perpetuating all kinds of stereotypes. If that tape came out now, because when it was a much different society when that came to fruition, and he received little to no backlash from it.
Well, I mean, the Source did like dedicate entire issues to
But
it.
he's not going to lose his bank account. He's not going to get
The Source was still
shit.
very relevant at the time.
It
This
was.
is like this is after only a couple years into the sort of XXL takeover. Like
The
the Source
Source
was
was-
still
the
huge.
The Source was the biggest.
It was
The
in
Source
every
was the
Barnes and
hip-hop-
Noble and grocery
It
store
was
in
the
America.
hip hop Bible,
Yeah.
but keep in mind that why was the Source pushing that narrative so aggressively?
Because Benzino hated Eminem for sure, and a lot of people saw through that, and I think that that's a big part of why it wasn't as cataclysmic to his career as it could have been. Because still at the end of the day, when you get canceled, a lot of it has to do with who stands by you. And Eminem had almost no important people in the rap game really like fully turn their back on him. And he has, Dr. Dre and 50 Cent in his corner. And it was so obvious to people. It was so transparent that this was a Benzino hit job. Yes, the tapes were real, but the messenger matters a lot. If Benzino really had been calculating when he put those tapes out there into the world, he might have handed them to a journalist from a more reputable publication, because I think if it was a Pitchfork article or a New York Times article or some shit that exposed Eminem saying that stuff, it might have been perceived differently.
Let's be real. Mel Gibson said, hope his wife get raped by a pack of niggers. But he ain't lose his bank account for saying some shit like that.
But let's be real. That was a drunken tirade that, yes, it's disgusting, and he said terrible things, but people perceive it one way when it comes off like a drunken fucking tirade when Kanye goes on all these podcasts over and over and sort of like affirms his beliefs on these things.
But you can also say Kanye is diagnosed as bipolar and he's not taking his medicine, and they're letting him go on publications and say all type of things.
That's what I'm saying is that I think that probably is his out if he's going to be basically like accepted by corporations at some point. But in order for that to happen, he's going to have to say, hey guys, sorry, I've been having a bipolar meltdown for the past couple of years. Please forgive me. I'm going to change my life. Here's how I'm going to dedicate myself to progressive causes. No sign of him doing that at this point.
If he becomes an outspoken advocate for mental health,
yes,
that is literally his escape hatch from this entire thing.
And you got to give him credit, because most people, Nick Cannon, I mean, he tried to stand on his shit, and he was having meetings with rabbis 48 hours later, man. He
took the shows.
Let's be real. Like, Nick Cannon saw what was happening to him, and he made a strategic decision to fall back. And I believe that he probably was exposed to information that kind of made him realize that some of the information that he was reiterating was maybe not the best information. And like, I'm not saying that he was totally full of shit when he apologized, but Nick Cannon fell back and is still realistically in the process of like restructuring his career right now because he had some spicy shit to say about Jews. What Kanye's a way bigger star than Nick Cannon. He said way crazier shit and he said it way more times. And when you're saying it multiple times over the period of like multiple weeks and months, people are just going to perceive that way different than Mel Gibson doing the N-word rant, which
1000%.
It's super fucked up, but it's also like there hasn't really been anything else in Mel Gibson's life story that makes us think that he's a racist, right?
Besides, that nigga had like 11 fucking voicemails, and I listened to them all.
Not just that though.
Yes.
Mel Gibson is
You make me smoke. You ruin my day.
I'm not trying to minimize it because I don't know what else Mel Gibson
also
That nigga at one point was really breathing just.
He's a raging anti-Semite. He literally produced The Passion of the Christ, which was essentially a visual hit piece on Jewish people.
I haven't seen that. Should I watch that?
The Passion of the Christ.
Josh, you feel me on this? Or
My
what?
granny made me.
You fuck with it?
My grandma made me watch
Josh
that.
hates it. Josh is a Jew though. He hates it.
When they came out, my granny made me watch that, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
Look, and that's white Jesus in all his
That's
glory.
right.
But
And this is my thing, is that Kanye is spreading terrible anti-Semitic ideas to a fuckload of people who realistically have never heard this shit before. And in response to that tweet that I put up today, I saw a lot of people who seem like normal fucking black people who feel empowered to some extent by the shit that Kanye said and the fact that he's being canceled. Like, this is a self-fulfilling prophecy to people like them that like, oh, look, he was right about everything. And it's like he's introduced a lot of evil into the lives and into the minds of a lot of fucking people. And there, in my opinion, there's blood on his hands. And when I see that fucking white power group doing that demonstration in the valley saying Kanye is right about Jewish people, I mean, look at how he's fucking feeding into and empowering these people.
well, and
I mean, nobody from the KKK ever lost their fucking bank account.
and that's
They probably did. I'm going to be honest with you.
I'm just saying, like,
If the banks are aware of it, I'm pretty sure that kind of, because that shit happens all the time. You're acting like these white power sites like the Daily
no.
Stormer. They're all are like blacklisted from the internet. They have to exist
Nick
on
Fuentes
the,
doesn't have a bank account.
exactly.
I
Yeah.
believe that.
Here's the thing, like a lot of what Kanye said, if he had just contextualized it differently, would have hit and resonated.
And nobody would have given a fuck if he did the Drink Champs interview and he was talking about the New World Order and the globalists, which we all know is basically code that all these people use for Jews. But instead, he actually said Jews, which props for him for actually saying what he fucking meant. But that's the reason why he's in trouble right now.
He didn't even say Zionist. He said
Right.
Jews.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, though. Are Jews very industrious people that happen to literally run the fashion industry, the music industry, the banking industry?
Okay,
the
Nick
media?
Fuentes.
No,
Lush Fuentes.
hold up.
I need that Photoshop.
Here's the thing. Yeah, I'm Nick Fuentes if he actually got some pussy in his life.
Woo! Well, he don't want it.
Yeah.
He said he loves Asian girls, but he got to marry a white girl. I feel bad for this motherfucker.
Yeah, no, it's
You don't know what he's missing out on.
It's a slippery slope to fucking jerking off to tranny porn for Nick Fuentes. Let's
I'll
keep it a
cop
bundle.
Nick Fuentes an Asian hooker any day of the week.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Fuent talk.
Is all
Fuentanol. There's a Photoshop waiting to happen.
wow.
Okay.
But the all that is true. However, what Kanye fucked up on is trying to imply that they have this nefarious intention and have this agenda of supremacy and suppressing, in particular, black voices, but anyone that goes against them and has a voice of dissension, which is clearly, I mean, that's a very dangerous line of rhetoric, which Jewish people have frankly seen before several times over the years.
But he would have a good argument there if he was being canceled by the Jewish community for anything other than spreading straight up Jew hate on, massive podcasts. Like, he really is doing something that I feel like the vast majority of the civilized world agrees is fucked up.
I mean, look at Pierce Morgan. He literally said, "You're being racist." He's like, "Yeah." Like,
yeah.
It's just,
He's like, look at how Adidas can't cancel me for being anti-Semitic. Like, he's wearing it. He's like proudly saying it.
Even though that he's losing all this stuff right now, you can't. And Dave Chappelle showed people this. Like, you can't cancel Dave Chappelle, you can't cancel Kanye West because there's going to be people that are still going to rock with him no matter what.
He's becoming the Black Trump, essentially.
But nobody is denying that Kanye West could make tens of millions of dollars a year. You know, it's like no matter what happens, I believe that he's going to be able to release music, put clothes out. We've seen tons of people, the comedians, whatever, they get canceled and they're still able to do shit. The problem is that Kanye at this point is in a different box than like a Louis C.K. Louis C.K. can still perform at these fucking massive arenas. I don't think those arenas are going to book Kanye West at this point in time. It's going to be like you're booking a fucking David Duke rally, and it's not. And it's going to take a while for him to get past that. And it's not like there's no venues, but he's going to be blacklisted from a lot of fucking venues at this point.
He lost his agency, CAA.
Yeah, that's what I'm
But
saying.
most of the big venues are owned by AEG,
Right.
which is owned by a Jewish person. So
There you go.
And
It's going to be
but even if it wasn't owned by a Jewish person, there would be so much pressure. You think that the amount of pressure that you feel when you state an anti-trans position is a lot? Imagine being the guy who owns these fucking venues or the corporate higher-ups, and like a gigantic percentage of the people that you talk to in your industry are people who feel directly threatened by Kanye's comments. Think about the societal pressure that you're gonna feel to not fuck with this dude. That it's gonna take a long fucking time before that wears off, unless he sort of just aborts mission. Which again, does anybody seriously see that happening?
well,
Is he still banned from Instagram and Twitter?
No, he still has an Instagram account.
Does he still
Is that-
have a Twitter?
I don't know if he still has access to it or not, but I know as of today because I was showing somebody the "good to hear from you, bitch" yesterday, which is
Amazing.
which is still the best quote of the year. But the thing about Kanye and this line of rhetoric that he's spewing right now, it's what really made him start talking this shit. It was around the time he got deplatformed by Zuckerberg. And then all of a sudden, it's very similar to Hitler feeling threatened by, or Hitler feeling like the Jews in his art class got more pussy and attention than him. And then he started to, like, planted the seeds for his anti-Semitism. And then all of a sudden,
But this is the thing, is that
he's personalizing it.
but there's an attempt by a lot of people to act like, oh, Kanye is just being canceled by the Jewish monopoly on our culture or whatever the fuck it is. It's like real regular people are being hurt by this shit too. Like I didn't even get a chance to watch it yet, but I saw that Casey Neistat's clickbait on his new vlog, or the theme of his new vlog is basically just him talking about how much he loved Kanye West and how hurt, which I believe Casey's Jewish. I can't remember. But either way, it's like really, really like hurt, like on an individual level. I think that like a lot of fucking Jewish people would share that opinion. And it's like, there's like a real effort to act like that doesn't matter. And like somehow like these people, because a lot of them have money or in a powerful position, it's like not atypical of every Jewish person's existence. But
I'm
it's
sure
like the
Jonah
stereotype.
Jonah Hill's got to be pissed.
Jonah Hill is at the Santa Monica stairs doing cardio right now, mad
Crying.
as fuck. Because I met Jonah Hill there doing cardio. I don't know if that's actually something I should be sharing, but that was pretty tight.
It's not like it's an AA meeting.
He like showed me his phone and he's like, bro, like 90% of the time that I'm here, I'm listening to your podcast.
Jonah Hill.
I'm like, what the fuck?
That's fine.
I didn't even ask him for an interview. I probably
Used
should have
to-
gone for it.
Yeah, you should have.
I used to sell him weed.
Wow.
Yeah, because he's a big sig pig.
Back when his name was still
He
Feldstein.
loves cigs.
Did y'all like his movie, the mid-90s? That was fire.
That actually was a great
Yeah.
movie, yeah.
He's dope. But yeah, no, absolutely. It's a shame, but at the same time, like you said, the scariest part of the whole thing is him being deplatformed at this point and silenced validates his argument in the eyes of all the people that are going to blindly follow him.
Right.
But I do wish there was the same energy when people were doing this to black folks as well.
Can we talk about how annoying the fucking conversation with T-Row was this morning?
Today was the first day
That you really like
that
saw it for what it was?
I usually like purposely like to go against you
Mm-hmm.
with T-Rail, but today I was like, I got to side with Adam today.
He don't mean half the shit he says. He's just
Yes,
trying
he
to.
does mean half the
he
shit.
can't.